Here's part four. I guess I'll say it every time. If you haven't seen the other three parts, you got it. You got it. Because I have a lot to say about these video games that I like. All right. Right now we're in the middle of Metroid. So here's Fusion. I've seen people recently defending this game. I've seen a few people recently defending this game, saying it really isn't as bad as people think it is. And I am one of those people. I like Metroid Fusion quite a bit, actually. Again, linearity, not a problem for me. I like linear games. There's a reason I've played Ace Attorney. Um, I think Metroid Fusion is better than Super Metroid. I've said it. I've gone there and I do it again. It's better because again, linearity. And also I think the combat is just more refined. I like how Samus is slower. That makes up for the smaller maps, you know? I like how she can't take a lot of hits. That makes Metroid Fusion actually a bit challenging sometimes. Depends on the time. It makes the bosses challenging anyway. I like the beams, how they're better, I think. Um, I like the enemies. I like how there's a reason for the enemies to be mean. I guess there is on Super Metroid, but it's just kind of not very fleshed out. It doesn't make sense. Um, I just I like pretty much everything about Metroid Fusion. If I had to say one bad thing about Metroid Fusion, what would it be? I don't like the part after you fight, I think it's Nightmare, where they're like the power goes out and you run away from the SAX and then you run away from the SAX and then it's just kind of there's no recharge rooms. You can't recharge at all, and you have to fight all these enemies that are going to do a lot of damage to you. And that's like the one part of Fusion that is really hard and kind of frustrating for me. And that's the one bad thing I'll say about Metroid Fusion. Other than that, I take my stance, I'll keep it. Fusion is my second favorite Metroid game. Time to talk about my actual favorite Metroid game, Zero Mission. Uncharacteristically, this game, a lot of the games I love because they're fun to play once. Like, I don't know, Fire Emblem 7, Fire Emblem 10, Donkey Kong Country Returns, Celeste. Um, actually, no, not Celeste, but, Zero Mission, I love to play because I can play it in under 2 hours. I can play it multiple times a day if I have time. You know, if I'm really bored and for some reason I'm not working or something, I don't know. I'm an introvert. I could play Zero Mission like 3 times in one day, hypothetically. I have not done that before, but I don't really plan to. Whatever. I like Zero Mission because, first of all, I'm not a big fan of the first game. I respect it, but I'm not a big fan of it. And this is definitely the definitive version, the definitive game that takes place on Zebes. Yeah, I pronounce it Zebes. Deal with it. Um, and it's just I love the combat. You know, people talk about how you should be able to run a separate button, but it's like it doesn't matter to me. If I want to use the speed booster, I'm gonna use the speed booster. But I usually want to use the speed booster, so it doesn't make a difference. Um, I like I like the post credits. Is it post credits? No, it's actually not post credits. I like the stealth sequence. You know what I'm talking about. I like the part. Um, nice play to Zero Suit Samus. Um, but yeah, it's all good times. It's good times. To play multiple times. I can't count the number of times I played Zero Mission. It's going right up here. It's just such a good game. So refined. people say, "Oh, it's so short. It's terrible because it's so short." But no, I like it because it's so short. That's a good thing. Okay, Prime 3 Corruption. I said earlier in one of the other, I think it was like part two. I haven't finished this game because I only started recently. I've enjoyed it. I feel like I haven't enjoyed it as much as I should. I really, I don't know. Here's the thing. I'm not a big first-person shooter, first-person adventure, first-person shooter. It's a first-person shooter. I'm not a big first-person shooter guy. You know, the reason for that has changed. Originally, it was because I felt kind of insecure not being able to see the things around me, and I just wasn't used to that. That's changed to I don't like it because it's just not as fun. It's immersive. Yeah, it's absolutely immersive. That's great. But I don't know. It's not as big a problem anymore, to me anyway. Now the main thing I have against Prime 3 Corruption is that when I sit down to play it or stand up to play it, whichever, I'm gonna be playing that game probably for quite some time. And by quite some time, I mean like 45 minutes. That isn't really all that much. But I'm not smart. I'm not a smart person. I will take a while to do puzzles in this game, and that's fine, to be honest. But I prefer games where I can just pick up, put down, like Minish Cap. I like games where I can just do that. I can't do that with Prime 3, unfortunately, because there aren't a lot of save rooms, or whatever they are, save stations, whatever. There aren't a whole lot of them. I will be playing for a while, and I'm just kind of forced to deal with it, unfortunately. But that being said, I do enjoy the combat. Not as much as like Fusion. Again, I'm not gonna pretend like other people like the combat because the main problem with it is like you gotta choose between combat that's long and tedious because uh and long and easy. I mean short and easy and unsatisfying. Because again, the phase on thing, it makes everything really easy and it's just it's not as satisfying. But if you don't use it, which I don't, then the combat is long and kind of boring. It's not as big of a problem to me as it is to other people because uh, the combat is what makes the game interesting to me. But like I'm still on Brio. I'm not very far into the game. I haven't even fought Rundas yet. If you know, you know. Um, but overall, I think this game is going to grow on me as I play it more, and that's good. I like that. So I'm going to put it in a bit of an undecided position, probably around here. That seems like a good place to put it. All right, now we get Fire Emblem. I feel like I have a lot more to talk about for the Fire Emblem games than I do for the other games, probably. Fire Emblem 7, Blazing Blade. Oh boy, this game. I mentioned earlier that this is a game that is a great, great experience to play one time and then not really for on replays. Yeah, that holds true. It's not like a super long game. It's not as long as most, Zelda games or whatever. At least for a casual guy like me. But if you are bad at the game, again, like me, then you might have to reset a few times, and that might cost you a bit of time. But if you reset repeatedly for like, cause like I reset for most units that die, then yeah, it's gonna cost quite a bit of time in the long run, like an hour, say. And for again, like for a person who wants to play spontaneously for 15 minutes and then be done with it, that isn't the best. There's a reason that I don't do draft races. I mean, I do sometimes, but not a lot. Um, but that being said, I know the story is bad. The story is paper thin. It really doesn't have anything on it. But the I like it when the maps, gameplay wise, are small. I like small maps with few enemies and few of my units that I can beat easily. I mean, I don't know about easily, but shortly, in a short amount of time. I don't have to think too hard about it. I don't like to think about things. um, what the reason I like Fire Emblem, it's not the reason most people like Fire Emblem. I like Fire Emblem because I like to see my units grow. I like to see I like to see progress. I like to see bad bad level ups that are like just HP, you know? I want to see General Amelia. I want to prove to people that Amelia is good in general because she is. She really is. But all that being said, all that being said, I think I'm just gonna put it here. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's as good as some people think it is, which is pretty sad. But that's the way it is. Fire Emblem 8 though, ooh, this is a game that I have mixed feelings on. Pretty mixed. It's seen as the black sheep of the franchise, along with Gaiden, and also the remake of Gaiden, Shadows of Valencia. But it's like it's not as weird as Gaiden. That's definitely true. It's not as weird, but it's got a lot of good things and a lot of bad things. And games like that are usually turn out good because if they have a lot of things, then they're good. um, but on different days, when I feel like, you know, some days I'm like, I like Fire Emblem for the gameplay, and then some days I'm like, oh, I like Fire Emblem for the story. You know, this is weird because Sacred Stones has good gameplay most of the time, and an even worse story than Fire Emblem 7. If that's even possible, which it is, because Fire Emblem 8 has it. Fire Emblem 8 simultaneously has one of my favorite lords, two of my favorite lords actually, Erica and Ephraim, and also has some of my least favorite characters in general. So that's like A1. I don't like A1. I don't like Dosla. You know, just has some terrible units. Most of the time when I play Fire Emblem 8, I have the same team, unless I'm doing a draft race, which I don't do very often. But there are so many different things that I do on it. It's just most of the time when I play Fire Emblem 8, I have a good time. Sometimes. Some of the maps are terrible, but it's just it's a mixed bag. Fire Emblem 8 is the epitome of the phrase a mixed bag. If I want to play Fire Emblem 8, I'm probably gonna do like a solo run of Erica. That's what I'm gonna do. I've already done it once. I had a pretty good time. I don't know. Just I have very conflicting emotions about this game. I'm gonna put it right here. I think that scene is pretty good. I told you I have a lot to say about these Fire Emblem games, and I was not wrong. So I will see you in the next one where we talk about three more Fire Emblem games. Only one of which I've actually finished ever. I'll see you next time.